A common assumption in modern Christianity is that the story of the church begins abruptly in the second chapter of Acts. This tendency to start the theology of the church, ecclesiology, in the New Testament creates a severe structural problem. It isolates the Christian community from thousands of years of redemptive history. Rigorous systematic theology relies on the foundation of biblical theology. To understand what the church is, we have to analyze the entire storyline of the people of God across both testaments. The New Testament church functions as a direct, continuous progression of ancient covenants, rather than a structural anomaly or a divine plan B. This creates a deliberate theological tension, a relationship defined by both continuity and discontinuity between the nation of Israel and the New Testament church. We can map this relationship by tracing specific exegetical DNA from the foundational covenants of Abraham and Moses directly to the writings of the Apostle Peter. Identifying the modern church as the consummation of an ancient, global mandate proves it is the fulfillment of a singular historical story, not the start of a new religion. The biblical framework for the people of God begins in Genesis 12 with Abraham. God issues a single command followed by 4 specific promises: a physical land, a great nation, a great name, and divine protection against his enemies. Because Abraham and Sarah were barren, these promises were humanly impossible. They required a miraculous, divine initiation to create a new humanity where none existed. A 5th critical promise forms the church's foundation. Through Abraham, God will bless all families of the earth. This establishes missional particularity. God selects one exclusive family, utilizing this extreme exclusivity as the precise mechanism to achieve universal redemption for the rest of the globe. Abraham was chosen explicitly for the sake of mission. He was blessed so that he would become the vehicle of blessing for every other nation. This single promise historically birthed Isaac, and then Jacob and the 12 tribes of Israel. From its inception, the foundational blueprint for God's people contained the DNA of a multi-ethnic mission. 430 years later, the historical narrative reaches the Mosaic covenant at Mount Sinai. Having delivered Israel from Egyptian slavery, God now formalizes their national identity through a covenant. He establishes the relationship's formula: I will be your God, and you will be my people. In Exodus 19, God assigns Israel 3 titles. As treasured possession, they are exclusive royal property. As holy nation, they are ethically set apart. The central mandate is kingdom of priests, downward mediation representing God to nations, and upward mediation bringing nations to God. The Sinai covenant defines Israel as a structural priesthood, organized specifically to execute the original Abrahamic blessing to the world. In the New Testament, the Apostle Peter addresses early Christian communities that are now heavily populated by Gentiles. Peter uses a direct comparison to prove the church continues the Sinai constitution. He maps exclusive ownership, applying treasured possession to the chosen race. The mediatorial role remains. Kingdom of priests becomes the royal priesthood. Even the ethical requirement is identical. The holy nation continues. Peter takes titles originally bound to a single geography and ethnicity and transposes them onto a global network of believers. He defines the purpose of this transposition clearly. This community exists to proclaim the excellencies of God to the darkness. This linguistic mapping establishes absolute theological continuity. The church functions as the spiritual Israel. Rather than inventing a new identity, the New Testament church inherits the exact covenantal DNA and priestly job description established at Sinai. If the titles and mission are identical, we must identify what actually constitutes the newness of the New Testament church. The primary shift is the mechanism of inclusion. Membership in the people of God is no longer defined by ethnic bloodlines or geographic borders. The church operates on the doctrine of union with Christ, a spiritual, not biological, ontological structure. Paul illustrates this in Romans 11 using a tree, where Christ is the central trunk. Natural branches represent ethnic Israel. Some remain connected through faith, while others break off from unbelief. Gentile believers are wild olive branches miraculously grafted into this ancient tree by faith. This calling remains irrevocable. Paul promises a future mass ingathering of ethnic Israel before the end of the age. The global church is unified exclusively through this spiritual graft into Christ, rather than shared genetics or sociology. The church is the intended realization of God's redemptive plan. not a historical accident. This profound union with Christ is expressed through the metaphors of the vine and branches, the groom and bride, the head and body, and the living temple. These metaphors describe a community carrying the continuous missional DNA first established in Genesis and Exodus. The church currently operates in the tension of the already and the not yet, existing between the two comings of Christ. The ultimate goal of the covenant, God dwelling openly with his people, reaches physical completion in the new heavens and new earth of Revelation 21. Proper ecclesiology identifies the local church as the active priestly mediator, currently executing a multimillennial cosmic redemptive plan.